he might be rookie of the century.
We can go to rookie of the year. And back before kind of everything happened, I brought up the idea that I thought, relative to their odds, that I did this pod with Arturo Galletti, that I thought Scoot Henderson was a good bet relative to the odds that you could get for it. But Victor Wembanyama is the heavy favorite to actually win the award. He is incredible. You and I got to see him in person a few days ago, and there will definitely be growing pains, especially offensively, if Pop is going to give Wembanyama the latitude there. But the stuff that he does is unbelievable. And I mean, the way that he can defend in isolation against players who are more traditionally wings is just, it's going to be so much fun. I mean, the one of the greatest games this year to play, and I mean, especially like when your team is playing the Spurs, if your team is not the Spurs, watch the angle of the shots released when Victor Wembanyama is the primary defender. It is an absolute delight.
Yeah, Victor's, I think, just seeing him in person again, like he's completely lived up to the hype every time he's been out on the floor, except for that first summer league game when he really just had like not practiced at all. He wasn't in good shape. Like, I think he looks amazing physically. Haven't seen any kind of injury scares. We haven't heard anything like that. He played plenty in preseason. Now, is he going to be like unbelievable on either end? Is he close to what he's going to be? I think he'll eventually be a way more efficient offensive player. I think he'll eventually be playing more around the rim and more of a nuts and bolts help defender and verticality and all that stuff where he really just walls off the rim. I'm not sure that he's at that point, but he's going to make so many spectacular plays. I think he is going to help the Spurs win basketball games this year, which it's rare to say about any rookie. And well, you might say, oh, Scoot will have more opportunity. Like, Wembanyama is going to be at least the second option on the Spurs. Like, if preseason is any indication, they're just going to give him the ball and let him shoot as much as he wants to. I don't know if the jumper is going to be that efficient over an 82 game sample necessarily, but he'll get enough dunks and stuff around the rim. And he's just like, he's a generational prospect. Like, I have no reason not to think that. We're talking about a guy who, he might be rookie of the century at this point. Like, I think he's going to have an unbelievable season. And the idea that maybe he won't put up stats, like, no, he's going to shoot a ton. So I think unless it's injury, it's his to lose. Scoot Henderson is probably my number 2. I do have a component of this where if you're saying, I generally default to, all right, who helped their team the most this season, but I have kind of a tiebreaker and maybe even like an elevator for who I think the best long-term prospect is. So that's why I would have Chet Holmgren number 3 and Henderson number 2. I think Chet, particularly because he's a couple of years older than Scoot, will probably help the Thunder win games more than Scoot will help Portland this year. But I also don't want to, and Chet Holmgren's a better prospect than this guy, but you don't want to end up in a Malcolm Brogdon over Joel Embiid type of rookie of the year situation like this. There is a kind of a prospect element of that. And I just don't think this guy's going to have as much opportunity, but apologies to Amen Thompson, who to me has looked fantastic in the preseason and, might be a rookie of the year if he were on a team that didn't have 2 starting guards ahead of him and didn't have this historic rookie class. But I mean, this is going to be a monster class. I can't wait to see these guys.
To me, one of the key questions is going to be how many rookies are positive players this year. And I don't know how many it's going to be. I don't even I think Wembanyama will be because of the defense that he can bring. But often this is 1 or 2 guys, like Walker Kesslers are rare, like guys that are really positive in their rookie year. I have Victor, Scoot, and Chet just like you do, and I have Amen as a close 4th. I love him. I don't know that that his start is going to be as good as like his prime or anything like that. And there are other guys that I think are going to get real opportunities, and I think that is probably good for their development, but not necessarily like clear that they'll be positive players by that threshold. Asar Thompson, Bilal Coulibaly fit that bill. Looks like both of them are going to have serious minutes for developing teams, for better and for worse. And then one other guy I wanted to mention, just because I want to see how this year plays out for him, is Keontae George. And the opportunities could be there in Utah if, they don't like kind of like the Orlando Magic, where they don't really have that guard infrastructure in place. And so there is a meritocracy element, and Keontae George might be one of their 2 or 3 best guards by the end of the year. So it wouldn't stun me if Keontae George ended up finishing second or third on my Rookie of the Year ballot.
Yeah, that will be fascinating. We still don't really have a great idea of what that Jazz guard rotation will look like throughout the year.